Did 825:18 come up? If you ain't find it by now, it must not be up.
You got to check on London. You got to go on your phone.
Oh, okay. I see. I always keep extra. I always keep extra. I'm about that life.
About that extra life.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth,
thy will be done in earth,
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good,
And his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of
For
Israel.
he is good.
For he is good,
And his mercy endures
and
forever.
his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
King of kings.
The King of kings.
And Lord of lords.
The Lord of lords.
The one true God.
The one true God.
And there is no other.
There is no other.
Amen.
Amen.
Today's scripture comes from Joel chapter 2, verse 1 through 2. Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
What was that scripture and verse again?
Joel 2, 1 through 2.
Okay, all right, cool. I missed it. I was putting my keys up. I'd like to say peace and happy Sabbath, everybody.
Happy Sabbath.
Was that camera straight right there? Happy Sabbath, everybody that's watching online. It's definitely a blessing to be here down in Jacksonville to be able to fellowship with y'all once again. Regardless of the situation, what's been going on, we know it's a big elephant in the room. We'll deal with that later on today. But we're going to go and get into this lesson today. As you can see from the title of the class, it's called 2300 Days. And when you look at the Bible, the Bible, for the most part, you have everything put in, put down, records and stuff like that, history, things that are recorded in chronological orders. That's where you got the Book of Chronicles and stuff like that, the Book of Kings, kind of give you a rundown about the kings of Israel and stuff like that. Even with the Gospels, dealing with the ministry of the Lord. So the Bible it's a real book. And most people have trouble with it because they look at it as a book, as far as like a novel. Most people, when they deal with the Bible, they really don't, look at the prophecies and, look at it as being something real or pertaining to our time. Most people go to Proverbs. Most people go to Psalms and Ecclesiastes to get things to make them feel good. When stuff get tough, you may be able to go grab a scripture or verse to kind of lighten the mood or whatever. And it can be used for that. Don't get me wrong. It definitely can be used for that because, like the Bible in itself, some particular places, hey, they comfort you. You know what I'm saying? Make life a little bit better. So we definitely advise reading it, but most people today, when they look at the Bible, they don't really look at it as something that's real, you know, because they don't understand it. Like when you look at the Bible, you know, if you try to read it from front to back, you know, without understanding how God put it together, to really get understanding, first fearing God, keeping his commandments, to the law and to the testimony, you know what I'm saying? This is how that understanding will start opening up when you do it in that particular formula, how God had it set up. But if you try to go from front to back, what usually happens, you know, you get confused, you know, and then, you know, I think what I ended up doing was I just put the Bible down because it's hard to understand. That's why you got all these different, Bibles out here, different versions, ESV, NIV, Amplified, you know what I'm saying? They say to make things, you know, make it easier for you to understand the Bible. But it's not hard to understand. Mainly what is going on, if you're not keeping God's laws and his commandments, what it'll do is when you try to read the Bible, it's going to be like you got blinders on spiritually. You won't be able to comprehend it. You won't be able to understand it. But when you start putting everything together like God told you to, you'll be able to see things a lot clearer and realize that the Word of God is real. So that's why we're going to look at this class today to show you about these 2,300 days, showing you literally that this is a time that's, you know, going to give us a time frame, in other words, to the return of the Lord. You know, so even though we got in the Bible where the Lord said no man know the day or the hour, at that time nobody did know the day or the hour. But you think about now, you know, even when we're going to look at Daniel today, some of the things that happened with Daniel, he told him to put this stuff up, you know, seal up the vision, don't even worry about it, Daniel. You know, it's going to speak in the latter days. So some of the things we starting to see now as far as prophecy, concerning prophecy are starting to come to pass now. But go to Luke chapter 8. Let me show you something. Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8. Y'all got to, I think y'all we might have ran out of copies. Take mine.
You can get mine. I got mine from last week.
You got yours last week? Okay. You got one too, brother. Yeah, you got one. All right, so go to Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8, we're going to pick this up at verse 9. This is after Jesus doing miracles, stuff like that. And they didn't want to come ask him a question about why he's speaking a certain way. Luke chapter 8, verse 9, read that for me.
And his disciples asked him, saying, what might this parable be?
So he gave different parables. And, you know, he gave one about the different types of seeds that you can sow. And now they want to come and ask him, you know, specifically speaking, get an understanding on these parables. So in verse 9 it says, they asked him, saying, what might this parable be? What did he say, brother?
And he said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God.
Keep reading.
But to others in parables.
Now pay attention to what he said. He talking to the disciples, but it also concerns us. He said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, right? So in other words, like, to the world, 2,300 days, that's a mystery. You know, that's why some people look at 2,300 days as if it's, you know, 2,300 years, 2,300 months. You know what I'm saying? Some people even say that 2,300 days has already came to pass, already done happened. But listen, God got this thing, you know, got the Bible as a whole in the parable. You know, that's why it's hard to crack the code, in other words, but not really though. Like I said, when you start keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, you'll be able to understand it. And this is what the Lord is saying. He said, what? Unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to others in parables. It's like they look at the Bible as a big riddle, and they can't figure it out. But for people like us that's dealing with the Word of God, keeping God's commandments, hey, God will make this thing known to you. That's why a class like this, it may seem hard. You know, we call it a meat class, but when you really look at it, it's pretty simple. It's just dealing with a count. There's a certain event that's going to take place that's going to let you know when you should start counting down to the Lord coming back to this earth. You see? He said, but to others in parables that what?
That seem they might not see.
Right, so even though they see it, you know, they may be able to read the Bible, they may sit up and study all day long, but guess what? They still can't understand what it is, what they read. That seeing they might not see. What else he say?
And hearing they might not understand.
And I don't care how much the preacher yell out all these different verses to you. I don't care how good it may sound. You can never really comprehend what's going on. But listen, in order for you to comprehend this stuff, in order for this stuff to start making sense, you're going to have to deal with the Bible as a whole, the Old and the New Testament. You know what I'm saying? Fearing God and keeping His commandments. That's why I tell you what, a good understanding have all day that what, fear God and keep His commandments, right? So that's how it's going to start. You know, so when you look at a class like this, you know, if you ain't never been, went through it before, you know, it may sound like it's hard. It may sound like, oh, this is a really a mystery of me class, but it ain't that tough. It's not that bad. You know, you sit down and, you know, you look through the Bible, you look through the book of Daniel, which we're finna go to. You might have to flip over to Daniel chapter 7. But you go through the Bible and, you know, certain places, like for instance, Daniel chapter 7, Daniel 7, all these different visions that Daniel had, they say, well, you know, that stuff is symbolism. You think about Revelation, they say Revelation, that's symbolism also, right? But you think about it though, all you gotta do is keep reading. You know, like when you pick up Daniel 7, we're gonna look at all these different animals. But if you keep reading to the end of Daniel, hey, the Lord gonna interpret or explain what these animals are talking about. All right, but that's how it is with the Bible. You just gotta, you know, you gotta stay in there. You don't need to grab no other books and stuff like that. That's gonna do more confusion than it would to help the situation. Sometimes that just makes things a lot worse. Like I say, man, I was able to find out who I was inside the KJV. You know, and the same KJV I knew about Jesus a long time ago. They preached to me Jesus when I was a kid, but hey, they might not have been doing it right, but still, Jesus is in this Bible. You know, so I don't need to go off and go grab the book of Joshua. Like some people say, well, Joshua, it just breaks it down and explains it more. No, if you read some of the Old Testament, go to the New Testament, and it's going to break it down and explain it more. So in other words, there's no reason for you to jump out of the Bible to go get any other thing to verify. The Bible going to explain everything itself. Daniel chapter 7, read verse 1. What does it say, brother?
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and the visions of his head upon his bed.
Go ahead.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. Okay,
so now this is during the time when the Gentile dynasty first came into power. You know, this is what we know as Gentiles, Europeans, Asians, or just simply white folks, sisters and brothers. This is when they came into rulership. Everybody had an opportunity to rule. The Hamites, the Africans ruled, and the Israelites ruled, and the Shemites, they ruled the world. And now the Gentile dynasty is ruling. This is when they first came to power, and they're going to be all power to the Lord return. But the beginning of the Gentile dynasty started with Nebuchadnezzar. Now we're down to Belshazzar, Nebuchadnezzar's son. All right, so he said in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Read Daniel 2 again, 7 and 2 again. What
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
That's right, keep reading.
And the four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld to the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Right, so what we're looking at right here, like I said, this right here, the lion, is the beginning of the Gentile dynasty. This is where Nebuchadnezzar first came up. This is what Daniel was seeing. All right, but at the end of the verse, it says, I beheld to the wings there was plucked up, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So that's just really referring to when Nebuchadnezzar came out and he looked at the kingdom and he took credit for the kingdom. You know, so that made the Lord mad. So what the Lord ended up doing to him, he sent him off into the wilderness for 7 years like a beast. You know, he started taking on the growing claws and long hair and all that for 7 years. And after those 7 years was up, then he, you know, the Lord put his mind back into him. He turned into a man that, you know, he had the mind of a man. He realized who God was. Because God is the one that set him up in the first place. And that's why it says at the end of verse 4, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Because once he came out of that wilderness, then he understood who God was. You ain't the one responsible for putting this kingdom together. God is. So God just brought him down. What is saying verse 5 though?
And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear. And it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Right, so as we saw with Nebuchadnezzar, starting off with the Gentile dynasty, right after him, then you had the Medo-Persian Empire that came up. That would be considered as Russia and Iran. They're still around today. Just look and see what Russia's mascot is. They still got the bear, don't they? You see, but this is who came up next. Russia and Iran. That's why it's saying, behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it and between the teeth of it. What is saying verse 6 though?
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Okay, so what's that third one? Read that third one more time.
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right, and sometimes it makes things a little better when you can see it with pictures. That's one thing I understood when we used to preach in the streets a lot. We always take posters out there. We put the posters on the ground. You know, sometimes we put some gruesome posters because we knew that would draw their attention in. You know what I'm saying? So once we draw their attention, then we hit them with the word. But sometimes it's better for you to be able to see things. So this is what you're saying right here. This is that 4th beast. And in verse 6 it said, After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So at this point right here, what would be coming up after the Medo-Persian Empire, this would be the Greek Empire. That would be, you know, we all know about Alexander the Great, right? So when Alexander the Great came up, you know, he came up, didn't rule too long because he died at an early age, but right after he died, then you had 4 generals that came up after him that took over the kingdom. And that's why it's saying here, after this I beheld another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So these 4 heads would represent those 4 generals that came up after Alexander the Great passed away. What is saying verse 7?
After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake into pieces.
Now pay attention though. If you see what happened with the previous beasts, right? They were all, you know, the first one was like a lion, right? The second one, he was like a bear. The third one, he was like a leopard, right? With 4 wings, right? Or 4 heads. But if you notice this one right here, hey, he ain't got, the Lord ain't liking him to no type of animal. You understand? The Bible just called him a what? Dreadful and terrible. He said, behold, the 4th beast was dreadful and terrible. But he was so bad, hey, there wasn't no animal in the animal kingdom that he can even liken him to. Right? He said, dreadful and terrible and strong and exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. What else?
It devoured and brake into pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns.
Right, so now you think about it. You know, one reason this was diverse from all the other ones, because usually when you have kings being set up, you know, you got rulerships changing. It's usually done by war, which is what Rome did, don't get me wrong. But there's another agenda that's coming out of Rome. See, all the other ones, they weren't trying to deal with you religiously in no way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? It's just about power, taking down the nation. We set our kingdoms up, and it's just that simple. But with the Roman Empire, hey, they're going to have a man spiritually trying to get you. You understand? That's why he's a great and dreadful and terrible beast. Because he's not going to only get you physically when it's all said and done. He's going to get you spiritually. You understand? But if you pay attention to what it say at the end of verse 7, it said it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So horns in the Bible, sometimes you go around, look at Revelation 13, you'll see 17. Look at horns sometimes. Even in here, we just looking at these horns, he's just talking about kings. So we down to this final empire, or this final part of the Gentile dynasty. This is the Roman Empire, sisters and brothers. And these 10 horns just is a representation of 10 kings. You know, that's going to try to bring Rome up, you know, Rome is set to rise and fall 10 times, in other words. All right, so it done did it, you know, it done did it already. We got one more time that it's going to be revived, and that's around our time. But this is what this is referring to. So what he said in verse 8, though?
I considered the horns.
So we talking about these 10 horns, right? Daniel said, I considered the horns, and what else?
And behold, there came up among them another little horn.
Right, so outside of these 10 horns, there came up another little horn. Now the Bible is going to be, you know, real specific about this little horn and about this dreadful and terrible beast, because like I said, he's not going to get you. They ain't going to focus, you know, this last kingdom ain't going to focus on you like the previous 3 rulerships did. He going to get you a totally different way. He said, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Go ahead and read.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Right, so when this little horn came up, he took down 3 of those other horns, which was the Hierolites, the Ostrogoths, and the Vandals. If you go back and look in history, you'll see that this has been done. Now, he took down these 3. All right, but go ahead and read. What else?
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man.
Right, but we still looking at this little horn. He said, behold, in this horn was eyes like the eyes of a man. See, like I told you, hey, he coming a different way. All the other ones, they trying to get you physically, and you know, they worried about rulership and stuff like that. This one right here, though, he worried about not just ruling the world, but getting you spiritually. So he said, in this one, my eyes like the eyes of a man, and what else?
And a mouth speaking great things.
Right, so we ain't gonna look at the interpretation of well, you can do that for homework, but let's skip down to verse 15, because this last one is what Daniel was really concerned about. You know, where this little horn came about, because we got to look at this one, because this little horn is very important, sisters and brothers. He's going to play a major part in these 2,300 days. All right, so what it say in Daniel chapter, read verse 15 for me.
I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them and stood by and asked the truth of all this. So he told me, and he made me know the interpretation of the thing.
That's rain outside? Oh, okay. I thought we escaped it. Go ahead.
These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall rise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Okay, so now, in verse 15, he's, well, we do got 17. It's going to explain a little bit. Like he said, these great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. So what we just saw, right, you know, with the lion, okay, we saw the lion, we saw the bear, we also saw the leopard, right? And then we also saw that great and dreadful, terrible beast. So now you get an interpretation of what it is. In verse 17, he said, these great beasts, which are 4 kings. In other words, these are 4 different kingdoms that's going to come up out of the Gentile dynasty, right? That's why he said, which shall arise out of the earth. What does it say in verse 18, though?
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
But the saints of the Most High going to take the kingdom, keep reading.
And possess the kingdom forever and ever.
Even
forever and ever.
So when it's all said and done, you know, even though this man going to end up taking down the world for 3.5 years during the time of the Great Tribulation, listen, the saints, they going to end up ruling this world forever and ever. All right? We're going to read what he said in 19.
Then I will know the truth of the 4th beast.
Right. See, Daniel worried about that one. He want to know what's up with this 4th beast. He said, what? Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others. Keep reading.
Exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet.
Keep reading.
And of the 10 horns that were on his head, of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things.
Right, so he want to know about this horn right here. That's what he concerned about. He want to find out about this horn. What does it say in verse 21?
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them.
So notice what that horn going to do, right? He said, I beheld, and this horn made war with the saints, right? That's the next slide. He said, I beheld the same horn made war with the saints. So that's taking you outside of, it just being some horn on an animal. How is a horn going to make war with the saints? See, we talking about a king. That's why I was telling you earlier, we just talking about horns represent kings. So this king is actually going to make war with the saints. But what saints are we talking about? Are we talking about, people that go to church on Sunday? Are we talking about people that believe that we can eat anything, just pray over? Are those the saints? No. What's going to make you a saint is if you keeping God's command. Keeping his Sabbath day. Remember he said that's a sign between him and his people. You understand? Keeping his Sabbath day, his feast days, and holy days, and all that type of stuff. That's what requires you being a saint, sisters and brothers. But this is who he going to be coming after. He ain't worried about, listen, Satan ain't trying to take you down if you serving him. That's why another place tell you that this man going to cast down the truth to the ground. So if you serving God and you shining the light on the false doctrine, guess what? He coming after you. Mm-hmm. That's why he say, what I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and what happened?
And prevailed against.
Right, so that means he going to win. He made war with the saints and he prevailed against them. So he going to win now. That's what he need to be talking about in church tomorrow. They're not going to talk about that because remember, like I told you when we first started, people just like to go to the Bible and use things that make them feel good. And that's good sometimes. Sometimes it's good to open up the Bible and you get that comfort in there. I mean, remember Jesus, he's the ultimate comforter. That's why when he left, when he's getting ready to leave, he said, I ain't going to leave you. I'm going to comfortless. I'm going to send you another comforter. But you ain't got no greater comforter than Jesus himself. So, hey, going into the Word of God, you can find some things that'll make things a lot better. But at the same time, you got some dark and gloomy stuff in here too. And this is one of them. Read that verse again, 21.
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints.
Right, so he going to make war with the saints. You call yourself a Christian, well, get ready to go to war. He going to make war with the saints and prevail against them. Skip down to verse 23. What does it say, brother?
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth.
So this fourth, he said the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth. And that's where we are at now. We living in the time of this fourth beast, sisters and brothers. This is the Roman Empire. And they still ruling today. Just think about it. How is it that you go to public school in America, you speak English, but they try to teach you Roman numerals. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever paid that any attention, but they used to teach us that in school. Yeah. But Rome's still running this thing, sisters and brothers. He ain't really so concerned about beating you down physically right now, because he already got you mentally. What you think everybody gonna be doing on December 25th? Hey, they're going to be worshiping what? Christmas, but you think about it, split the word up, it's Christ Mass, the Mass of Christ. That's what they're going to be doing. But hey, this is how he's getting you at this point. It's going to come a time when he physically going to enforce it, but not right now. So he said, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and what else?
And shall devour the whole earth,
and
shall tread it down and break it in pieces.
Keep reading.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are the 10 kings that shall arise.
Right, so that's just wrong, rising and falling 10 times. See, the Bible's interpreting what we read earlier. That's why, you can't just stop reading at one particular spot and think that's it right there, and then just chalk it up as symbolism. You got to keep on reading, and hey, he'll explain what's going on. So it said there are 10 kings that shall arise, and what else?
And another shall arise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
Keep reading.
And he shall speak great things, words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
Right, but pay attention though. He said he's gonna speak. It's still talking about this little horn. He said he's gonna speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to do what?
Change times and laws.
So this is where you get, the Lord told you to remember the Sabbath day, right? But coming out of the Roman Catholic Church, the Sabbath day, to the world, is now Sunday, the first day of the week. That's just, the Lord tell you to remember his death, talking about the Passover. But he said, no, we're going to do December 25th, the Lord's birth, right? But that ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. But it's just going to show you on a minor scale how they've already changed times and laws. The middle of the night at 12 o'clock, sisters and brothers, that's midnight. That's why it's midnight, the middle of the night. That is not a new day. The Lord tell you to even in the morning make a day, right? Right. But he tell you at midnight, hey, you're in a totally different day. But you just seen it on a small scale. You know, it ain't too open right now, but it's going to come a time when it's going to be wide open, sisters and brothers. You ain't going to have no choice but to bow down and serve this man. But he said he's going to think to change times and laws, and what's going to happen?
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time.
Right, so a time is 1 year. A time is how many years? 2 years. And divided the time, that's give you what, 3.5 years, right? Just showing you that the Great Tribulation ain't 7 years. It's 3.5 years, sisters and brothers. But when he said they're going to be given into his hand until a time, and times and divided time, he's talking about the saints. That's during the time of the Great Tribulation. 3.5 years, that's how long this thing going to go, and the Lord's going to allow this to happen. But still focusing on this little horn, flip over to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8, because Daniel having another dream, but now he's in the reign up under Belshazzar, and he's dreaming about the kingdom that's going to come up after the Babylonian dynasty fall. After Nebuchadnezzar's the lion fall, hey, there's something else that's coming up. So this dream that he's having now, he's not dreaming about Nebuchadnezzar no more. He's dreaming about the next kingdom that's getting ready to come up. But it's still the Gentile bloodline. Pick it up at verse 3. What does it say, brother?
Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram.
So that's what you're seeing up there. He said, what? There stood before the river a ram, keep reading.
Which had 2 horns.
Right, so we got some other horns right here, but we ain't talking about this little horn. We just talking about these 2 horns on this ram. Go ahead and read.
And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
Right, so in this point right here, now we're looking at this Medo-Persian Empire once again. They got 2 horns, but it said the higher one came up last. In other words, you know, both of these, the Medes and the Persians, they both ruled, but one was higher, one kingdom was greater, in other words, than the other one. So he said the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. That would be the Persian Empire. What did he say in verse 4?
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great.
Keep reading.
And I was considering, behold, and a goat came from the west.
Wait, slow down, brother. Start it over again. Take your time.
And I was considering, as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth. Okay, so now you got this ram with the 2 horns. He's in power, right? But now you got something else coming up. Now, if you just remember what we read about in Daniel chapter 7, you had the Medo-Persian Empire that was up, and then you had another, who came up after the Medo-Persian Empire? Greek.
Don't be afraid to say
Greek.
Right, the Greek Empire came up, right? So the same thing is going on. All right, we had the ram with the 2 horns, and now you got this goat that's coming up. So that would be what? The Greek Empire, right? It's real simple. He said what? And as I was considering, behold, the he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and did what?
And touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Keep reading.
And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in fury of his power.
But this is a representation of the Greek Empire. But if you pay attention to what it said, he said what? First off, he ain't touched the ground because he came up pretty fast. But on top of that, he said what? He had a notable horn in between his eyes. And that's just talking about Alexander the Great. We're going to come back and break this one down in Daniel chapter 8 later on. But he said he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river. And what else?
And ran unto him in the fury of his power.
Keep reading.
And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with a choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
That's right. So when Alexander the Great came in, hey, they was more powerful. They was able to take down the Medo-Persian Empire. And there was nothing anybody could do to stop it. What else to say, brother?
Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. Okay, so now, once the he-goat, in verse 8, it says, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, talking about the Greek dynasty. Like I said, we're going to come back, when we wrap it up, we're going to look at this. But specifically right now, we got to point some things out, and we're going to get back to it.
But he said the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Talking about Alexander the Great, that's when he died. Alright? Then it says, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. So in other words, that's when his 4 generals came up. Alright? I think I got the book in my bag, and after class you want to look at it, we can look at those 4 generals. But they came up in the stead, and this is when the Greek dynasty split up. See, he didn't have no son, that was going to come after him and rule. Like, you have more, more likely you have some sons that'll carry on your name and stuff like that. Well, Alexander the Great, he didn't have that. So between these 4 generals, they came up and they just split. Then they end up falling. And then it says in verse 9, what?
And out of one of them came forth a little horn.
Right, so once they fell, now we still, listen, the Bible keeps telling us about this little horn now. We looked at the little horn in Daniel chapter 7. Here he is again, right? He said, out of one of them came forth a little horn. Go ahead and read.
Which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land.
Okay, so now just pay attention now. When the Bible gives you like these north, south, and east and west directions, for the most part, we're talking about everything relative to Jerusalem. We're not talking about things relative to America, okay? That just came around about 400 years ago, but Jerusalem is the central part of America. That's why when the Lord get back, listen, the law going forth from Zion, and you got to sit in a perfect place. But this little horn we talking about is coming out of Rome. He gonna wax great toward the south, toward the east, that's over toward Russia and stuff like that, and toward the pleasant land, which is Jerusalem. Remember that now, right? Because we're gonna look into that. We just got to get through this history right quick. But it say what? He gonna wax great toward the pleasant land. What it say in verse 10?
And it waxed great even to the hosts of heaven, and it came down some of the host and of the stars to the ground.
Okay, now beginning to verse 10, though, it said it waxed great even to the host of heaven. So who is the host of heaven? Not you, Tony. Not you, Derek. Johnny. Not you, Nate. Who is the host of heaven?
The Lord. The Lord.
Who?
The Lord.
Pay attention now. It said the host of heaven. Nah, the host of heaven, just so if you don't know, just remember this when you see it. The host of heaven is us. All right, because this horn ain't gonna wax great toward Jesus. He gonna wax great toward the host of heaven. In other words, he gonna take us down. You see what I'm saying? That's what this little horn gonna do. You represent heaven. That's why you got to be mindful of all your actions, sisters and brothers. When people see you, they should see God, because you represent heaven. You the host of heaven, sisters and brothers. We are. He said he waxed great even to the host of heaven. And what else?
And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground.
Right, so he's going to end up taking us down. You understand? But that's going to happen during the time of the Great Tribulation. You being a star just represent you got that light. That's all we talking about. Just real simple, sisters and brothers. But he's going to end up taking us down, taking the saints down. And what I say? And I sit on that, and he stamped upon them, right? So we're going to come back to Daniel chapter 11. Go on to Matthew chapter 24. Because right now, what we just looking at in this particular part of the class, and it's going to speed up in a second. But we got to, when you're dealing with history, you got to go real slow. Like I like to say, no child left behind. Because we don't want to leave nobody, because this is prophecy. So it'd be good for us to take our time and go through this. Because it don't do me no good to know it, if y'all don't know it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I ain't really trying to rush through this stuff, because I want y'all to learn this, man, because what if we ain't around? What if something happened to the teacher, we die? We ain't here during this time when these events start unfolding, where you should be able to have enough understanding and knowledge to know what you have to do to save yourself. So Matthew chapter 24, and the only way that's going to come about is if we're teaching you the right way. Matthew chapter 24, we're going to pick this up at verse 7. Matthew 24, verse 7.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places.
Keep reading.
All these things are the beginning of sorrow.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
Excuse me.
It's like things in your Bible.
No.
Oh, okay.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
Okay, I got you. All right, so mainly what's happening right here, they come to show Jesus the buildings of the temple. We'll tell you that around verse 1. And the Lord just mainly told them, listen, it's going to be destroyed. They have rebuilt the temple. They came to show them the vessels and all that stuff. Tell you that in Luke chapter 21. They was excited about it. The Lord, mainly told them, listen, all this stuff going to be destroyed. So ain't no sense you really celebrate. That's what I'm saying. But that's it's kind of like he was raining on their parade. So they want to ask him. They ask the Lord, well, when shall these things be? When is the temple going to be destroyed? 7 AD, that's when that took place. And they say, well, what shall be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? So they asked the Lord 3 questions. One of them already took place. 7 AD, the temple was destroyed in Jerusalem. Look it up. And then they asked him, what's going to be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? So this is what Matthew is starting to break down in 24. So in verse 5, which ain't on here, first thing he say, for many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So that's the main thing you have to be concerned about regarding the Lord's second coming, sisters and brothers. You got to be worried about deception and being deceived. He ain't warning you about the murderer. He ain't warning you about the drug dealer. He ain't warning you about the adulterer, is it? First thing he say, what? Don't be deceived. So you ain't got to be necessarily concerned about somebody that can kill you physically. You need to be more concerned about the one that can kill you physically, wake you up, either get you up from the grave, and then kill you again in the lake of fire. So you got to be mindful of deception. Verse 7, he say, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. We starting to see all this stuff going on. But what he said in verse 8, he said, what, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So we ain't even really cracked it yet, as far as trouble, because this is just the beginning right here. We ain't seen nothing yet. But skip down to verse 15. What's going to take us to, what's going to be, he going to give you a sign that's going to climax. The climax of the trouble where you need to really be looking out for, this is it right here. What he said in verse 15?
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea.
So now let me just look at this right quick though. He said, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso read, let him understand. Now that's what we've been looking at. Whether you know it or not, we've been looking at this little horn, sisters and brothers. This little horn that's going to come and take down the saints, going to cast down some of the stars to the ground, the host of heaven. This little horn, he has a name. He's called the abomination of desolation, or the man of sin, or the son of perdition. And this is why Jesus, now here in the flesh, he warned you about this man now. He said what? He said in verse 15, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso read, let him understand. So now let's go back to verse, let's flip back to Daniel chapter, we'll read 16 and 17, and then skip down to verse 21, then we'll go back to Daniel.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Right,
so listen, if you're in Judea during this time, you need to run into the mountains. The mountains we just talking about the wilderness. That's where the Lord took Israel back in the day. So this time, when this great tribulation get ready to jump off, you need to be in a place of safety to avoid this, sisters and brothers. All right? But if you're in Judea, flee into the mountains. And some people say, well, the great tribulation, that's only concerning the Jews. First off, the Jews are scattered throughout the world. And then for anybody that's going to be in that area during that time, listen, you need to get out of there. God giving you a sign. But even the church as a whole, listen, the church is, the church started out with Israel. And Israel scattered all over the world. Right. But it tells you in Revelation chapter 12 that the church did what? She fled into the wilderness. So you got to get there also. All right, you're going to make your way toward the Atlantic Ocean. And somehow or another, we're going to get crossing. You know what I'm saying? But y'all close. All you got to do is get over there. You know what I'm saying? And I know black people can't swim that way, so you ain't got to worry about that. The Lord going to make a way. I can swim. But I ain't swimming across the Atlantic, though. I know that. But we got to get over there some type of way. The Lord going to make a way, though. So it ain't just for those in Judea that got to get there. The church got to get to that wilderness also. So what is saying in verse 18? Read that, please.
Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Why? Skip down to verse 20. What does it say, bro? 21.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall be.
Right,
nor shall ever be.
Right, so it's going to be a bad time. You ain't got time to be worried about going to grab clothes and all that type of stuff. Listen, you know, it's going to be a bad time when this thing jumps off. So you need to be out of here. And this is why we have to look at these 2,300 days because, listen, God give you some numbers in the Bible that let you know way before we get down to the last few days before the Lord shut the doors on the wilderness, he giving you other numbers in the Bible to prepare you, sisters and brothers. But once this thing jump off, it's over with. When he shut the doors on the wilderness, hey, you're going to have to sit here and deal with this man for 3.5 years. So he giving you a way out, right? He said, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world. To this time, no, nor ever shall be. So, hey, with Noah's time, you look at with Noah. You know, it was evil on the hearts of men continually, right? Tell you that in Genesis chapter 6, I think around there. And then what? The Lord flooded the earth, didn't he? That was a bad time, sisters and brothers. Lord sent down rain, fire, and brimstone, and Sodom and Gomorrah. That was a bad time. Hey, the slave trade, coming across on the transatlantic slave trade. A lot of Israelites getting killed. That was a bad time. Being hanged and lynched and all that. Being shot down by the police. That's a bad time. 9/11. That was a bad time, sisters and brothers. But it ain't got nothing on what the Lord is getting ready to allow to come on this earth. That's why he say here, well, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So ain't nothing compared to this, though. But he gave you a sign. Read that verse 15 one more time, brother. What it say?
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation.
Right, so he giving you something to look out for. When you see the abomination of desolation, what?
Spoken of by Daniel the prophet.
Right, so that means we got to go find this in Daniel, right? He said, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, do what?
Stand in the holy place.
Right, so he going to stand. We got to find out how he going to stand. Then it says he going to stand in the holy place. So we got to find this holy place, right? That's what this is about. You come to class to learn. Not to find out how about getting rich and how to buy houses and all that. You're trying to find out about your salvation, right?
That's what's up.
He said what? He said when he spoken about Daniel the prophet, so we going to go back to Daniel. And he said what? When he stand in the holy place, whoso read, let him understand. That's why you can't just deal with the New Testament. You're going to have to deal with the whole Bible. Even Jesus is referring you back to Daniel, the Old Testament, which so many people have a problem with. Flip back to Daniel. Let's go look at it. When you see this man standing out, let's see how he's going to stand. Daniel chapter 11, still talking about this horn, this abomination of desolation. Still talking about him and his action. But how is he going to stand? Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. One verse, what it say, brother? Daniel 11 and 31. Read that.
An arm shall stand on his part.
But notice what it's saying. He said an arm's going to stand on his part. An arm is going to come and represent this guy. So when you see these armies come, like it did back in St. Luke chapter 21 when they was asking the Lord about the same thing we just read, Luke just breaks down what was going to happen. You know, it goes into a little more detail of what was going to happen around the time of 70 AD. The Lord told him, when you see Jerusalem compassed round about with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not. And then what's going to happen, and Israel going to be led away captive into all nations until the time for the Gentiles be fulfilled. So Luke just kind of gave you more of a description of what was going to happen right around 70 AD. Matthew is taking you to the end of the world and telling you when you see this abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, you need to go back to Daniel and get some understanding. So now, in Daniel chapter 11, verse 31, it's letting you know that armies going to stand on his part. In other words, listen, they're going to represent him. So once again, when they come down into Jerusalem, you know you down to your last 30 days before this thing is about to end. Before this great tribulation is about to start. But as far as your chance to escape, hey, it's coming to an end. You got to hurry up and make some moves. He said, arms going to stand on this part, talking about armies. Keep reading.
And they shall And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength,
Go ahead.
and shall take away the daily sacrifice.
Right, so that's something else we got to look at, right? He said they're going to pollute the sanctuary of strength. They coming in there, they ain't having no mercy. They're going to pollute the sanctuary of strength, and they're going to take away the daily sacrifice. So, listen, if they're going to take away a daily sacrifice, that means somebody got to be sacrificing animals, right? But see, the Bible is lining everything up for you, sisters and brothers. So you got to pay attention. You got to listen and study and stuff like that, and listen to the things that are happening around the world. Because if you ain't paid attention a few months ago, they just said they got a red heifer, didn't they? They said we got a candidate, but ain't nobody even paying attention. Everybody worried about Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Worried about Halloween, dressing the kids up like goons and goblins, but ain't even paying attention to what's getting ready about to go down. Because, you know, like I said last week, I did a little bit further investigation to see what their plans are with this doggone red heifer. They said they're going to give it 1 year to see if it turns. If it don't turn within a year, they're going to start sacrificing next October. If they start sacrificing next October, guess what? You can count 2,300 days. No, you ain't got to make no move. You can start counting 2,300 days till Jesus get back to this earth. We talking about 2,300 literal days. Right. But God gave you a sign when they start sacrificing. But now let's move a little further. He said, I'm going to say on this part, they're going to pollute the sanctuary of strength. They're going to take away the daily sacrifice. So we're going to look at that. And then what they're going to do, once they stop the daily sacrifice, what they're going to do, brother?
And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
Oh, so once they stop this daily sacrifice, they're going to place this man, that little horn we've been talking about in Daniel 7, Daniel chapter 8, this abomination of desolation that Jesus was talking about. Now they're getting ready to place him. He said they're going to place the abomination that makes desolate. When they put him up, then guess what? That's going to start your great tribulation. All right? But we got to get to this countdown. Let's go on to Ezekiel chapter 21. Ezekiel chapter 21. Because we got to find this holy place. We got to find the pleasant land. We got to find what the Lord was talking about when he said, when you see him stand. Whoso read, let him understand. Ezekiel chapter 21. Y'all make sure y'all take these notes. Because like I said, it's not that hard. If you take notes and get understanding on it, you come back to it and read it later on. And brothers who want to teach it later on, hey, it's simple. Ezekiel chapter 21. Pick this up at verse 1. What does it say, brother?
And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face toward Jerusalem, and drop thy word toward the holy place.
Now notice what the Lord is saying to Ezekiel. He's finna get ready to go prophesy, because Israel off the chain. We've always been that way. But notice what the Lord is saying. He says, Son of man, set thy face toward Jerusalem and do what?
And drop thy word toward the holy places.
Right, and drop thy word toward the holy places. Keep reading.
And prophesy against the land of Israel.
Right, but what are these holy places at though?
Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. Land of Israel, sisters and brothers. And then you got the most holy place that where the Lord gonna sit himself. Right. But all of that over there is holy. So when you see this man get over there, them armies come in, listen, you already know we gotta, we down to our last little bit. But the Lord warned you about that. He's not gonna go step in America. That ain't holy. That ain't no. We talking about Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. That's what he's talking about. Right. Some people say he came to America. No, he didn't. Zechariah chapter said, what are you gonna come over here for? Zechariah chapter, America wasn't even in existence back then. Right. Zechariah chapter 7. That's what the Mormons say. Zechariah chapter 7. Zechariah chapter 7. We're going to pick this up in verse 8. Zechariah 7 and verse 8. Go and read that, please.
And the word of the Lord came unto Zechariah, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, Execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassion every man to his brother. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. Right, so it don't seem like the Lord would have to say that to righteous people, do it? Yeah, hey, we always been dropping the ball, sisters and brothers. He said, don't oppress the widow nor the fathers, because they ain't got nobody to defend them. So you don't take advantage of them, you help them out. Right. Then he say what? These the stranger, you shouldn't be kicking strangers out. They shouldn't be feeling like they can't be a part of it. No, you're gonna bring them in as well, right? He said, know the poor,
Because the Bible tells you lend to the poor, you lend to the Lord. So just keep that in mind. When you look at somebody out there in the streets, you know, you turn your, you know how the preachers, they make you seem like the poor man that's asking for money. You know, they want to say things to you like, well, you need to ask him what he going to do with your money. Why don't you ask the preacher what you doing with with my money?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't never question him, do you? That's the one that's robbing you.
Yeah.
At least the poor man, he'll tell you the truth, man. I need to go get some alcohol, man. I need to get something to drink. I'll be like, well, shoot, here, go $5, man. There's this bomb, it's a bomb up in Atlanta, man. He always asks me. Every time he see me, man, I go get some wine or something, get some liquor from the store. He come up to me like, he do that. I got a store, he do his hand like this. Every time he see my wife, he go, he's like, oh, you got a few dollars? I'm like, yeah, what you want, man? Like, can I get some cigarettes, man? I say, bro, I ain't get you no Newports, man. I get you some menthol. You know what I'm saying? I get you a beer or something. But hey, I help you out. That can probably make his day a lot better.
Right.
So he don't go postal. And plus, it ain't no sin, though. That's the problem. It ain't a sin. They make you think that smoking, drinking, and dancing is a sin. So when you see a bomb, you don't want to give them no money. But no, man, listen, you better be careful. You could be entertaining angels.
Ain't right.
You know? So he said, oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in his heart, in your heart. But what he say happened, verse 11?
But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears.
So hey, that's us, right? Rebellious people. He said they refused to hearken. They pulled away the shoulders and stopped up their ears that they should not hear. But what happened? Skip down to verse 13. What did it say, brother?
Therefore, it has come to pass that as he cried, they would not hear.
Now pay attention to what the Lord said. He said, it came to pass that as he cried and they would not hear, what happened?
So they cried, and I would not hear.
I told you we serve a Lord with conditions, don't they? Y'all don't think God is petty like that. God is petty just like that. You ain't gonna do what I say, I ain't gonna do when you ask me something, I'm gonna ignore you. Like you don't exist.
Wow. That was beautiful.
He said, therefore it's come to pass that as he cried and they would not hear, so they cried and I would not hear, saith the Lord of hosts. What did he say in verse 14, brother?
But I scattered them with the whirlwind among all the nations whom they knew not.
And that's what he talking about. That's what he did to his people. He said, what? I scattered them with the whirlwind among all the nations whom they knew not. Keep reading. That's how we got here, though. Because the Lord scattered us, sisters and brothers. What else he said?
Thus the land was desolate after them.
Talking about Jerusalem. Because see, that's how, before we got scattered, we was in the land, sisters and brothers. And the Lord tried to do everything he could to keep us from going out. He even got down to the last part where he even bargained with us just to keep the Sabbath day, sisters and brothers. That's why I be making it a point to talk to brothers, you know people having issues in life. Because listen, you're going to have all type of hell going on throughout the 6 days. But when you get to the 7th day, you need to leave that hell at home and get to church.
Right.
You understand? Like, hey, you got 6 days. Well, listen, when the Sabbath is over with, that hell's still going to be there waiting on you.
Yeah.
But when you come to church, hey, just get to church and do what the Lord say. The Lord has bargained with us. He was saying in Jeremiah 17, if y'all just keep the Sabbath, man, we can work this out. Because listen, when you keeping the Sabbath, hey, you might be catching all type of hell throughout the week, but you can rejuvenate yourself on the Sabbath day.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? They don't need to miss the Sabbath. God ain't do nothing to you, doing it to yourself.
No, that's right.
He said, but I scattered them with a whirlwind among all the nations whom they knew not. Thus the land was desolate after them. Talking about Jerusalem. He said it was desolate after them. What else?
That no man passed through nor returned.
Keep reading.
For they laid the pleasant land desolate.
Oh, so notice what he's saying. He said they laid what desolate?
The pleasant land.
Because that's another place where that little horn going to take down, ain't it?
Yep.
That's the holy place. That's the pleasant land, sisters and brothers. That's why I said we got to identify all these different things that are being mentioned so you'll be able to understand it real simple, sisters and brothers. But he said what? They laid the pleasant land desolate, sisters and brothers. Now let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8, we're going to pick this back up at verse 9. Back to this little horn. But we've already seen that what? He got another name, the abomination of desolation. And he going to stand in the holy place. But Daniel chapter 8, we're going to pick this up at verse 9. Go and read that for me.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land.
Right, so what's the pleasant land?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. All right, see, that's good, man. That's what we want to do. Make sure everybody's on one page. He waxed toward the east and toward the pleasant land. What else does it say, verse 10?
And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them.
Keep reading.
Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host.
Right, see, we the host of heaven, but we got a prince. That prince we got is the Prince of Peace, or the King of Jerusalem. That's Jesus, sisters and brothers.
Right.
So in other words, he gonna be around until Jesus get back. Because some people like to say this Antiochus Epiphanes. But now it can't be him because he dead, sisters and brothers. This little horn gonna be around until Jesus get back. That's why he said, yeah, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. Go ahead and read.
And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away.
Oh, so pay attention, all right? He said, and by him, what was taken away?
Daily sacrifice.
So that, hey, we here again at the daily sacrifice. Evidently, somebody got to be sacrificing animals, sisters and brothers. And we're going to look at that. He said, by him, the daily sacrifice was taken away. And what else?
And the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
That's right. So now let's go over to Revelation chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2. You know, for the sake of time, you know, I did this class about, I think it was 2015. I did in Atlanta, and I had 34 scriptures. So that took 3 hours, easy.
Right.
I cut this down last week to 16 scriptures, because you know, with time when you first start teaching, you know, feel like it's almost like a dog. You know, brothers feel like we gotta go around and live, you know, piss on everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta put out marble and everything. You ain't got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Just chill out. Hey, more than likely, the teachers done already did the work. All you got to do, you know, just be real simple. Go and study what the teachers put down. You ain't got to. Listen, I remember I tell people when I first went to Philadelphia to teach back in 13. Man, I took like 35 scriptures on the feast day.
Wow.
Mario blowing the trumpet.
Ooh, I know them, man.
Man, it was mad, boy. You know, feast day, you don't go teach for an hour. You know what I'm saying? Hour, 15 minutes at the most. Man, I'm trying to put my mark on everything, man.
Right.
You know, so I go back and look at some of these classes now. And some things I say, man, it just wasn't necessary. But you do get better as you teach more and more often. You can learn how to take 10 scriptures and stretch it out to 12 because you get a better understanding.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I also took some articles out. I had some articles in here. It ain't necessary because you can Google everything now. You know what I'm saying? But that'll take another 30 minutes. You know, but we ain't got to do that because, like I say, 2,300 days, that should be a real simple class. Yeah. And, then, you know, around 2 hours and stuff like that, and people start getting tired too. You know, so the attention span ain't that long for humans, period.
Right.
You know, that's why we got them pictures for y'all. You see? But let's see what this Revelation chapter 2, what it says, verse 9.
I know thy works in tribulation.
Now this is a letter that, you know, the Lord got going out to the 7 churches in Revelation, right? And he says here, and he talking to Israel, he said, I know your works in tribulation. What else?
In poverty. But thou art rich.
Right, so even though you poor as a people, even though you catching hell as a people, he said, I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Even though physically as a nation, hey, we at the bottom, but spiritually, you can't top this knowledge.
Right.
Like, we got something that the world needs, because when it's all said and done, listen, them riches ain't gonna get you into the kingdom.
No way.
That knowledge is. So he said, I understand I understand you poor. I can see your works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. What else he said?
And I know the blasphemy of them which say that they are Jews and are not.
Right, so he said, I know the blasphemy, I know the lying, that's coming from these guys that say they're Jews and are not. So you think about it. Look around the world today. Who is it that call themselves Jews? Edom. The one that's over in Israel. You got some of them throughout the world, but they call themselves Jews, and the Bible say, hey, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and what?
And are not.
And are not, but what?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
Right, so we have to point this out. Now, Jesus is pointing this out, because, see, we call ourselves Israelites. We don't call ourselves Jews. We know we fall up under the Israelites, because based on the curses, the signs that identify this people, so the Bible laid it out plain and clear. But it's one nation of people that call themselves Jews, because when Judah went off into captivity, or Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, the last three tribes of the southern kingdom, when they went off into captivity, hey, Edom was right below Judah. So all Edom had to do was just go ahead and move up into the land, drop the name of Edom, and picked up the name of Judah.
Right.
Or Jew. That's why if you pay attention, they don't really call themselves Levi. They don't call themselves Issachar. They don't call themselves Asher. They don't call themselves Benjamin. You got 11 other tribes, don't you?
Right.
They say they Jews, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, the Lord said, I know they lying. They full of it. These are the ones that's going to start this daily sacrifice, sisters and brothers.
Right.
He said, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, right? So now let's go over to Obadiah chapter 1. Obadiah chapter 1. Should be around Daniel. It's only one chapter, so you might miss it looking for it. Yeah, right after Amos. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Obadiah chapter 1. Obadiah chapter 1. Let's pick this up at start this at verse 1. Obadiah 1 and verse 1.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Okay, so this is regarding Edom. That's why it says here, we've heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Go ahead and read. What else?
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
But it started off in verse 1 talking about Edom, right? That's why it says, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. So Edom is the brother of Jacob. All right?
Esau.
Right, another name will be Esau, Teman, Bozrah. He said, behold, I made thee small among the heathen. What else he say?
Thou art greatly despised.
Right, don't nobody really like him, but go ahead and read it. Now what he say? He say, you greatly despised. What else?
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks.
Right, notice what he say now, right? He said, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee. Then he say what? Thou that dwell in the clefts of the rocks, whose what?
Whose habitation is high. That saith in thine heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
Right, so what we talking about right here, we just talking about the pride. The pride of Edom. Listen, you take somebody's identity, especially a holy people, and then you done deceived the whole world, got these people thinking that you the Jews, sisters and brothers, and you've been doing it for so long.
Right.
It's almost like, hey, you ain't never gonna get caught. And you've been getting away with it for so long, so hey, you eventually what's gonna happen? You're gonna start getting puffed up, like can't nobody bring us down.
Right.
But God see it all. That's why he say the pride of thy heart have deceived thee, thou that dwell in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. But some people like to say, well, you see them big skyscrapers downtown, see that's Edom right there. Edom like to dwell in these high, big old sky rises. That ain't what he talking. Listen, I done heard it all from GMS, United in Christ. They dwell high in the Caucasus Mountain. That ain't what this is talking about. We talking about the pride of their mind first and foremost. That's what it started off with, didn't it?
Yep.
So it's not talking about that. It's talking about mentally, spiritually, how they think. Like I say, you steal somebody's identity and you getting away with it. Listen, man, you gonna think you getting off scot-free. He say what? Thou that dwell in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart what?
Who shall bring me down to the ground?
Right, ain't nobody gonna discover what we've been doing. We getting away with it. He say, you saying in your heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Keep reading.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Keep reading. So even though you done got puffed up with your pride, he even tell you how you got up there. But he just talking about, he giving you an analogy or in a sense of parable, that's all. But just giving you an analogy of how puffed up they done got. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Because that's eventually what's going to happen. He's going to bring you them down, sisters and brothers. But this is the one that's going to start the daily sacrifice. But go on and read what he say.
if thieves came to thee,
Uh-huh.
if robbers by night,
Uh-huh.
how art thou cut off?
Mm-hmm.
Would they not have stolen till they had enough?
Right, so let's read that straight through and read outside of the parentheses. He said, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, would they not have stolen till they had enough? So you just think about that. Like somebody breaking your house, they can only take so much, right? They ain't gonna wipe everything out like they did with us. They took everything from us, sisters and brothers. That's what he's saying. He said, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? You can bring a pickup truck, but you can't put the whole house in the pickup truck. But they ain't leave nothing, right?
Nothing.
What else he say, brother?
If the grape gatherers came to thee,
Uh-huh.
would they not leave some grapes?
Right, you go up 9A, they call it something, probably 9A down the road up here. You know, it's a place where you pick grapes over there. We used to go back in the day when I was coming up over the Ocean Way. You know, we picked some grapes, but we couldn't get all of them. You know, there's no way you come back tomorrow, you still ain't gonna get all of them.
Right.
But even though you would be able to pick grapes as much as you want to, you still gonna leave some.
Right.
That's the point, right? That's why I say, listen, if the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? And he's giving you this example because, listen, when it came to them moving up into the land, they took everything that belonged to Israel, sisters and brothers. They ain't leave nothing. Go and skip down to verse 7. What that say, brother?
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border.
Right, so hey, you got these men, you know, all these different nations and stuff came in the group and they put Edom into the land, in other words. He said, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. See, that ain't their border, though. That's Israel's border. Listen, Mississippi ain't your border. Even though I'm from Jacksonville, this ain't my border.
Right.
You know, I hear a lot of people shouting out their cities and stuff like that in their states. You know, we got a big Georgia-Florida football game going on. Listen, you a Negro, your border is Jerusalem. We don't got no football. He said, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. What did he say, brother?
The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee.
See, you know, like he started off saying that don't nobody like him, didn't he? He said, what? The men that are at peace with thee have deceived thee. Because, you know, they pushing a lie. America feeding them every year, sending money and stuff like that. You got commercials, you know, trying to make it look like they poor and stuff. Listen, you ride through the ghettos of some of these neighborhoods where we are. And believe me, you put that on the commercial. They'll probably be sending money like fast because we in a tried down condition. But these people that call themselves Jews, they ain't catching hell like Israel is. He said, but the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. What did he say, brother?
That they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
Go and skip down to verse 11. What did it say, brother?
In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces.
Right, see, the Lord gonna get them, sisters and brothers. You know, he upset about what happened with Israel, sisters and brothers. He ain't gonna let it ride, but he gonna take you back to what happened. Why is he gonna do that? And this really what we reading about. This took place in 70 AD, sisters and brothers. Telling you this way back in Obadiah, before it even unfolded, you know, thousands of years down the line. The Bible telling you what done happened. But the Lord say, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, what's gonna happen? Middle of verse 10.
Middle of verse 10. Shame shall cover thee, that thou shalt be cut off forever.
Right, so listen, he said, shame gonna cover you and you're gonna be cut off forever. But at the same time, I went back to verse 10, my fault. I threw you off. I thought I caught you. I did. My fault, you caught me slipping, man. But he said he gonna be cut off forever, right? So that's just like, cause you're gonna have some Edomites that's gonna make it into the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like the Lord just gonna cut them off forever as far as like Edom can't get saved, because hey, salvation for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have some Edomites, so that's gonna come into the word also. But you just look at Israel as a nation of people. Really, we don't. See, you don't exist as a nation without a land. You understand? That's why you know, every 5, 10 years, 20, 30 years, I kind of remember it, you know, well, I ain't gonna lie. I kind of look at the movies and stuff and see how we would be called colored, you know, and black and stuff like that, and all these different names. And, you know, even with the even with the, you know, the bywords, you know, the porch monkey and all that type of stuff, different things that happen to us. But when you out of your land, sisters and brothers, you really don't exist. That's why they can stamp the label on the black man as an African American. You understand what I'm saying? Because you don't have a land. But you still exist, though, right?
Right.
But that's the same with Edom. Edom still going to exist, but he not going to have a land.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Just like we scattered right now, that's how it's going to be with them, sisters and brothers. That's why he's saying here, in the day that thou stood, matter of fact, in verse 10, he said, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So they're not going to be able to have a land and stuff like that, like just like we are right now. But instead of it just being for thousands of years, it's going to be like this for them forever. He's going to do a lot of killing when he get back with Boaz, he tell you that. But as far as them not existing forever, they're going to exist. They just ain't going to have no land. Lord going to take all that from them. All right? But what he say in verse 11, brother? Read that.
In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces.
So he's taking you back to what happened in 70 AD. He said, the day that thou stood on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces. What strangers came and carried away our forces? What strangers came into Jerusalem and took down Jerusalem? The Romans, right? Mm-hmm. So if these are the Romans, which are Gentiles that came in Jerusalem, then that means Edom can't be a Gentile.
Right.
See, you see the difference, right?
Yeah.
That's why he say here, in the day that thou stood on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and what happened?
And foreigners entered into his gate.
So foreigners came into Jerusalem, talking about our gates. Strangers came in, and foreigners came into Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
And cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them.
He didn't say you were one of them. He said even you were as one of them. In other words, you this your brother. You should be helping them, but you almost like, you know, the enemy too. But it just shows you that Edom and the Gentile are not the same person. They may have the same skin color, but that don't make them the same people.
Right.
That's just like us with Africans. We got the same skin color, but we're not the same people, sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
But what it say in verse 12?
But thou shouldest not have looked on that day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress.
Keep reading.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity.
Right, because that's what happened. Like I say, you know, when Jesus came, listen, you already had 9 tribes already scattered among the Assyrians, sisters and brothers, and around Mesopotamia and stuff like that. But you had these 3 tribes, for the most part, that was still in Jerusalem when the Lord came. And that's why when the Lord came, what did he tell the disciples? He said, go not into the way of the Gentiles, right? Mm-hmm. But go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So some Israelites are already lost. Right. Was already scattered. The ones that were still in the land when Jesus came was the Jews, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin. And they had just went on and lumped, those last 3, they went on and called them, Jews. Mm-hmm. That's why, when Paul was talking about the Jews being cast away, right? He said, no, they ain't cast away. I myself, I also am from the seed of Abraham, from the tribe of Benjamin. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't cast away as people, you know what I'm saying? But that's what they just called everybody back then. But what happened is when those last 3 tribes got taken out in 70 AD, this is what Edom did. He said, thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. What else he say?
Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Oh, but notice what they did. They went into the land and they laid hands on the substance, right, during the day of our calamity. So this is why you got all, this is why they feel like all this stuff belongs to them. They even wear the garments and stuff like that. They got young men over there, they training for the priest office and stuff like that. But listen, that belongs to Israel. And also on top of that, they're going to start this daily sacrifice. They don't believe in Jesus, sisters and brothers. Right. They're going to build this temple, and they're going to start the daily sacrifice, and they waiting on the Messiah to come and sit in the temple, sisters and brothers. But this is the one that's going to do it. See, all this stuff belongs to Israel. If any sacrifice is going to go on, if any temple that's going to be built, listen, that belongs to Israel. And that's going to happen when the Lord get back. But they're going to do something in the meantime because they don't understand how it's really going to unfold. But this is the people that's going to start this daily sacrifice that we was reading about, that the Pope or the horn going to come and stop. Go to Numbers chapter 19. Let's see, why do they have to even start sacrificing the animal in the first place? Numbers chapter 19. Numbers 19. And pick this up at verse 2. Numbers 19. Read verse 2. What does it say, brother?
This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, Speaking to the children of Israel, that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke.
So now pay attention, right? This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, that they bring their red heifer without spot. So you can Google in your phone. It's at your fingertips nowadays. You can Google in your phone, Temple Institute, or Jews found a red heifer, right? That'll come up. He said, but this is where it comes. This is where it originated from. He said, speaking to the children of Israel, that they bring their red heifer without spot. That's why they're gonna wait a year. You know, from what I saw, they're gonna wait about a year to make sure it don't get no blemish on it. And if it doesn't, they're gonna go ahead and start a sacrifice, and they're gonna kill a lamb in the morning and a lamb in the evening. All right, that's the oblation. That's going to be going on daily for a particular amount of time, which we're going to look at. But this is where they get this train of thought from. He says that they bring their red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke, so it can't be no blemish, and you can never have this animal being put to work at all. All right, go and skip down to verse 9. What does it say, brother?
And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and lay up without the camp, and lay them up without the camp in a clean place.
Right, so if this is if this candidate that they have right now, if this is actually the one, they're going to kill it. They're going to end up burning it. You know what I'm saying? Now pay attention to what they say. He said, and a man that is clean shall gather the ashes of the heifer and lay them up without the camp in a clean place. Keep reading.
And it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation.
Okay, so this is what they're going to use to, keep reading, what it say?
It is a purification for sin.
It's a purification for sin. So in order for them to start these daily sacrifices, brother, they're going to need this red heifer. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do all the things necessary, kill it, burn it, and they're going to use it for a purification for sin. So they feel like before we can even start the daily sacrifice, we got to have this animal so we can get cleaned up as priests. But this is where they get it from. Alright, so let's see here. Skip down to verse. You can read all the other stuff on your own. That's going to be too much. But if you read through it, you'll be able to see how they're going to use it. You know, as some dead, touching the dead body, they're going to use the water. They're going to put it, mix it with water and stuff like that. It's going to be used for purification. You know, different things that represent, this priest being clean. But the point is that this is where they get this from, and this is why they were so set on trying to get this red heifer system, brothers. So they did a few years ago. They just started doing that, taking embryos and doing the artificial insemination or whatever. They started doing that to start creating their own. It's not genetically modified because it's still a seed. They just put it inside of the cow themselves so they can go and speed the process up. And they started their announcements in 2015. Here it is 2018, they got one now. You see what I'm saying? But, I was thinking about a few weeks ago, I said, golly, man, I remember they announced it. I thought it seemed like it was yesterday. But that was 3 years ago when they announced it. That's just going to show you how, Lord's speeding this thing up. All right, but now let's go over to Revelation chapter 11, because in addition to that, they're also going to build a temple. And that's what they're looking for now. They're trying to figure out where they're going to put it at. They're talking about it. It's starting to ramp up a little bit. They already got the help. And some people think that you got to have a temple built in order to start sacrifice. You ain't got to have no temple built, sisters and brothers. You do not have to have a temple built for them to kill the animal. They got an altar. All they need is an altar. They can kill an animal tomorrow, and you can start counting. But Revelation chapter 11, let's pick this up at verse 1. What does it say, brother?
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which was without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall be tread underfoot 42 months.
Okay, now pay attention to right here what's going on, right? Now this is what John is saying in the book of Revelation on the Isle of Patmos. He said, there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God. Because when Jesus gets back, he's going to have a temple being built also. You know, while Israel is in the wilderness, you know, the stranger coming up under the covenant, hey, he's going to have to build, Jerusalem going to be, you know, that's why I tell you Zechariah that Zerubbabel, you know, his hand going to be laid to the plumbing. You know, so he's going to be, you know, rebuilding the Lord's temple. But that's going to happen when the Lord get back, though. Because remember, Jerusalem going to be flattened. That's going to be destroyed. All right? So that's why, this is what John is seeing. He said, there was a reed given me like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God. This is where Jesus going to come and dwell himself for real. And measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. Then he says in verse 2, but the court which is without the temple leave out. So there's a particular landmass on the outside of where the Lord is going to have his temple built in Jerusalem. And they would consider that back in the day the court of the Gentiles. All right? So he said, don't measure that, because he said, measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. So if you think about over the past 20, 30 years, you know, depending on your age, if you just pay attention how, you know, these people that they go up to the Temple Mount, they always get in these clashes with the Muslims over there, right? You know, because they want that spot. They consider that holy. We need to get up there. We need to have access to it so we can pray and stuff like that. You know, they always getting jacked up. They always getting denied. But they starting to realize now, hey man, we can put the temple on the outside. You understand? They realize, like, we ain't got to touch the Dome of the Rock. We can put the temple on the outside, because listen, the Bible already told you where they're going to put it at. It's just starting to click now to them, because we coming down to the end of the world now, you understand? So they realizing, okay, well, we can put the temple over here, we ain't got to touch the Dome of the Rock, but God is letting you know way before they even start thinking about it, where they going to put it at. That's why I say, but the court which was without the temple, leave that alone. Don't mess with that. Then he says, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city. What's the holy city? Jerusalem. He said, what? Shall they tread underfoot 42 months? Now, another place we saw times, and dividing times, right? 42 months, that's going to still give you what?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, because that's the time of the Great Tribulation, right? So he also going to tell you again. Read verse 3. What he say?
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses.
Now notice what the Lord is saying. He said, I'm going to give power unto my 2 witnesses. So you're going to have 2 witnesses that's going to, you know, kind of like counterbalance what's going on with Satan and the Pope, you know what I'm saying, and the false prophet, the beast and the false prophet. You're going to have them, and God going to have like his Moses and Aaron around.
Right.
You understand? Because Satan going to have the beast and the false prophet. The Lord going to have his 2 witnesses. Right. But it was like that back in the day, wasn't it? When they went to the wilderness last time, before they went out, he had Moses and Aaron did. See, God don't really do things different. You know, he the same. He said, "What? Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever, sister and brother." Malachi 3:6. What he said? What our Lord changed not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. That's why we ain't been wiped out as a nation wholly. Because why? Because the Lord don't change. He got to keep his end of the deal. He made a covenant. He not gonna change, sisters and brothers. But he said, "I'm gonna give power to my 2 witnesses." And they shall prophesy for how long?
1,203 score days.
Right, so how long is that, sisters and brothers?
3.5 years.
So what's 1 score?
20.
Okay, what's 2 score?
40.
3 score?
60,
right? Right, so he say what? They're going to prophesy for 1,203 score days. That's another way of saying 42 months. Another way of saying the time and dividing the time, sisters and brothers. The reason why they're going to prophesy for this amount of time, because that's the time of the Great Tribulation, sisters and brothers. Then he also said in verse 2, in the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months, the Gentile. Because see, listen, they run it all. That's how this man going to come over here being a Gentile. He's going to stop the daily sacrifice. Even though Edom going to be sacrificed, he ain't got no power. You know, like I like to say, the man who got the gun is the one with the power. You have all the money in the world, but if I got a gun, I come take your money.
Yeah.
You gonna throw money at me, get away. The man with the gun is the one with the power. And the Gentiles got the power, sisters and brothers. So now let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Still looking at this temple that got to be built. That's why I wanted to break this down in sections so you can understand. First section, we was looking at the little horn, the abomination of desolation. Second section, we was looking at the holy place, the pleasant land. Third section, we cover Edom and the daily sacrifice and the red heifer. In this fourth section, we're looking at the temple to be built in the near future. All right, that's where we are right now. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Let's pick this up at verse 4. What does it say, brother?
Who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God.
I started at verse 1. We're going to have to read down into that. I should have put that one on there. What does it say, brother?
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him.
So what we talking about? We talking about the coming of God, right? That's what Paul is talking about. He said, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him, talking about his return, and that's what he's going to do when he get back. He's going to gather sisters and brothers. He's going to gather some saints. He's going to gather saints, sisters and brothers, when he returns. And Israel, he's going to take them back home. But what else he say? Verse 2.
That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Christ is at hand.
Right, so don't let nobody deceive you. Don't be moved by it regarding the coming of the Lord. He said, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. What did he say in verse 3?
Let no man deceive you by any means.
It sounds like Jesus done. He said the same thing, right? By the second coming, he told you don't be deceived. Many gonna come in my name saying I'm Christ. Paul tells you the same thing. They all in one accord. He said, let no man deceive you by any means, regardless. Don't let nobody trick you. For what?
For that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right, so we got some other names for this little horn, this abomination of desolation. He said, first off, he said, don't let nobody deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And we're not talking about the falling away from Sunday Christianity, or false doctrine. We ain't talking about falling away from that. We're talking about falling away from the true word of God, sisters and brothers. Like you think about the Israelites, when they was in their land, hey, they knew the word, but they the priest of God. So if the priest of God falls off, what you think gonna happen to the world? They're gonna fall off too. He's not talking about fall away from Sunday Christian. If anything, you need to fall away from that. Get away from it. Right. Stop messing with that. But that ain't what he's talking about right here. He said, what, it's gonna come a falling away first, and we are definitely in the throes of the falling away. That's why it's only a few of us that are dealing with the word. 7-something billion people in the world, you got a handful that are dealing with the truth. Right. That ain't the falling away. What is it? Like the Bible said in Amos chapter 8, darkness is going to cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, sisters and brothers. But that's what we're in right now, right? He said, for that day should not come except there come a falling away first. And what else? And that man of sin be revealed.
Right, and that man of sin be revealed. So we point him out a little bit. We do what we can, but listen, it's going to come a time when everybody going to know who this guy is. He said the man of sin be revealed. What's another name for him?
The son of perdition.
The son of perdition, the son of destruction. Abomination of desolation, the abomination of desolation, of destruction. What he say in verse 4? What he going to do?
Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped.
Keep reading.
So that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is
But
God.
Notice what he going to do though. He say he going to oppose and exalt himself above all that is called God, or that is worship. Because listen, when he come into power, not only is he going to be speaking against our God, the God of all gods, but you ain't worshiping nothing. It's just like with Daniel. Remember Daniel? They put out a decree. They was like, if any act any petition of any other gods besides you, king, you know what I'm saying, put him in, what was it, the lion's den, right? Daniel still kept on praying. It ain't matter to him, but hey, this how this man, he gonna do it worse though. You gonna bow down and worship him. You gonna have to take his mark and show that you down for him, sisters and brothers. But it said what? So that he as God sit where?
sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Right, but he's not going to sit in the temple that's going to be built after Jesus gets back, because he's going to be knocked out. But we just talking about this particular place, this particular holy place, that we saw the pleasant land. Listen, he gonna have the fake Jews gonna build a temple. To the world, they gonna think that's it. But he gonna go in there and they gonna stop the daily sacrifice and they gonna place him as God. He gonna sit in the temple of God. But we just showed you in Revelation chapter 11 where they gonna put it at, right? It's gonna be on the outside. That's why they say don't measure that. Leave that. The one on the outside over there, leave that on the outside of the temple. Leave that out. It's given unto the Gentiles for it in 2 months. That's how long this man gonna take down the world during the Great Tribulation. But these people that call themselves Jews, they gonna sacrifice, and they also gonna build a temple. That's what this peace process is all concerned, sisters and brothers. Just pay attention to it. They got a peace process. They trying to bring it to the works now, and once they bring, if that peace process comes to the works, more than likely they're gonna start building that temple, sisters and brothers. So you gonna start seeing this stuff really unfold real fast. All right, but now let's go a little further. Go back to Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. Still talking about him in this temple. Where he going at? Daniel chapter 11. We almost done. I told you once we get past the prophecy, the history, it moves a little faster. But you have to understand that stuff, because if not, you'll be lost. We won't be able to move further, because you'll be confused the rest of the class. Still thinking about that goat with them horns on his head. So we have to break it down, take our time so you can digest it.
Right.
Daniel chapter 11, pick it up at verse 36. What does it say, brother?
And the king shall do according to his will.
But notice what he called him, right? We're still talking about this little horn, but he called him a king, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because that's what the world don't understand. This guy is the king of the world, sisters and brothers. I know Trump, people don't like him. I know you might not like your Obamas and stuff like that. Listen, they on the scale of 1 to 10, they are zeros.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Not trying to down them or nothing like that, but I'm just saying, compared to how this prophecy gonna unfold, sisters and brothers, the man you need to be worrying about is the one that they take around that glassmobile when he come to America, or when he float through the crowds in that glassmobile. If it ain't this guy, it may be the next guy. But the point is, that's the king of the world. That's why the Bible is addressing him as such. He said, what the king shall do according to his will. What else he say, brother?
And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. And shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods.
Oh, so not only he going, like you say here, he going to magnify himself above every god. So all these different religions and doctrines you believe in, listen, he gonna smash all that. Then he gonna what do? He gonna speak marvelous things against the God of God. Just think about why that's an abomination. That's why his name is fitted. He gonna speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and what else?
And shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished.
Go ahead.
For that is determined shall be done.
Keep reading. Because it's going to happen regardless, though. That's why I say, for that is determined shall be done. But this is what the Lord is saying today. It's going to happen. But it just wasn't going to happen during Daniel time. Go to read. What it says in verse 37.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of woman, nor regard any God. For he shall magnify himself above all.
Right, but you notice how the Bible kind of pointing them out, right? Like you just think about what guys in this position as a priest and don't desire women.
I ain't lying.
You know what I'm saying? Come out the Roman Catholic Church. The Bible pointed out before we even came here. The Lord letting us know how it's going to unfold, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 45 and read that for me.
And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain.
So this is where he gonna end up at. He gonna end up over in Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. Because remember now, he got to stand in that temple. But this is where the temple going to be at. He said, what? He going to plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. What's going to happen?
Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
Right, so he going to come to his end, and ain't nobody going to help him. Bring it up to verse 41. What it say?
He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon.
So listen, that's where you're going to end up going at as a church. I had it on my map. I can't. It's on here. Last week it's on here. I can pull it up, but I just ain't got time to go through it right now. But I'll show it to you later. But it's right outside of Jerusalem. Like you look at Jerusalem on the map, you look on the outside of Jerusalem, you'll be able to see Edom, Moab, and Ammon. That's where the Lord gonna take His church at, sisters and brothers. That's why I say in verse 41, He gonna enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of His hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. So because the reason why they're gonna escape, because that's where the church gonna be hiding at. That's the wilderness. That's where you need to get to. And I know you may not understand how to do it now, stuff like that, and how we gonna get there. Listen, God is behind this.
Right.
You ain't gotta call your travel agent. Okay? The Lord gonna take care of this. Just like He sent that east wind and opened up that Red Sea. Listen, God gonna be behind this again, sister. Right. You just gotta have the faith to go when it's time. All right, but now let's go over to Daniel chapter 8. Back over to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. I'm scared to hit that button. I don't want to have him mess something up. Daniel 8. Let's pick this up at verse 12. We almost done. Daniel 8 and verse 12. Read that for me.
And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression.
Mm-hmm.
And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered.
Now notice what happened though, right? Remember how, like I said, if you worshiping Him, ain't no sense in Him coming after you, right? But it said, well, He gonna cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and it prospered. But it said a host was given him against the daily sacrifice. In other words, we just talking about them arms that's gonna stand on this part. He gonna have a host, or he gonna have somebody represent him. That army gonna come in there. He said a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and to cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. What else to say, brother?
Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice?
Right, so notice what Daniel said. He said, Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice? And what else?
And the transgression of desolation.
That's another name for this guy. And the transgression of desolation. What else?
To give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot.
Keep reading. What else he said?
And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Oh, so that's where we get the title of the class from, right? Mm-hmm. He said to 2,300 days, sisters and brothers. So we got, and he said once it's done, then the sanctuary going to be cleansed. That's just when the Lord going to get back, right? Let's skip down to verse 16. What does it say?
And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
Now notice who coming to make him understand the vision. Y'all know who Gabriel is, right? That's that Holy Ghost. He coming to make him understand the vision. That's the one that's coming clear things up for you. If it ain't him personally, listen, he, like I like to say, like Michael, he got angels also, right? Mm-hmm. Lucifer, he got cast out of heaven, but they say Lucifer, he got cast, and his angels were cast out with him. Mm-hmm. Like it tells you in Hebrews chapter 1, about these Holy Spirit. He said, are not they all ministering spirits sent forth to minister to those who are going to be heirs of salvation? So Gabriel ain't doing it by himself. Right. Maybe he's the one that's over that post office department to make sure you get the message, make sure you get the letter. But you see back here, what? He bringing down you to understanding on the vision, right? Mm-hmm. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. What else you say, brother?
So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision.
So it's not gonna happen during Daniel time, right? It's gonna happen when? What did it say? At the time of what?
At the time of the end.
Right. So it wasn't gonna happen during Daniel time. It's gonna happen at the end. Y'all know what though? We at the end, sisters and brothers.
Right.
So now we can start getting into the Bible and understanding this stuff because we at the end now. We at the latter part of the last days. It's about to be over. And that's why it's starting to speak, sisters and brothers. What is saying, verse 19?
And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be.
Right, so he said, for at the time appointed, the end shall be, right? So it wasn't going to happen when Daniel was here, even though the Lord was giving it to Daniel. But listen, it wasn't going to happen at that time as far as all this stuff that's inside this vision. So what is saying in verse 20?
The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia.
Okay, now we saw that, didn't we? Let's go back. Let's refresh our memory before we get down to the countdown. Let's go back to, we in Daniel 8, right? We'll take our time, man. We almost done. Come on, go back. Okay, that's the first one. He said, the ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are what?
Are the kings of Media and Persia.
Okay, so that's the Medo-Persian Empire, right? That's what he's talking about. The rams what you saw, that's what it said in verse 3, 8 and 3. He said what? I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, right? So now we get the interpretation of it. In verse 20, he said, the ram which you saw having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So that's the Medo-Persian Empire, sister and brother. That would be Russia and Iran, okay? What does he say, brother?
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Okay, so we got another one, right? He said the rough goat is the king of Grecia. So what's another name for Grecia? We speak English now, so Greece, right? So that would be the Greek Empire, correct? That's your Alexander the Great, sisters and brothers. What else he say? And the great horn what? That is between his eyes is the first king.
He said the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Right, go ahead.
Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation.
And that would be his 4 generals that came up after him. All right, but go ahead. What else to say?
But not in his power.
But they ain't gonna come up in his power. You know, the kingdom gonna be divided, so they're not gonna come up as high as Alexander the Great did. But go on and read. What does he say?
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full.
Right. So when the sin has come to the full. That's like with the Amorites. Remember when the Lord told Abraham that his seed was going to go into captivity for 400 years? And he wasn't talking about next year, because I hear the Africans now, they putting out a call for us to come back home. Listen, it's too late, buddy. That's why the Lord said in Joel chapter 3, will you render me a recompense, O Tyre and Zidon? Because he's talking about them Africans. But he said, well, I'm going to turn your recompense upon your own head. It's too late now. Don't be trying to invite us back now. Yeah, we starting to wake up now. Yeah. You know. But everybody think next year is the 400-year prophecy. That ain't what it's talking about. The Lord said in Genesis 15, he said ain't gonna go no, but sure that your seed shall go into captivity in a strange land. Right. Then he said, well, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full, sisters and brothers. So they're going to be in captivity during the time of those after the Hamite nations, sisters and brothers. That's what that 400 years we're referring to. 30 years of that, hey, they was living it up. They was doing good. Joseph was governor. Then after that, hey, that other Pharaoh came up who knew not Joseph, and Israel went into captivity. He flipped the script now. Right. Hey, if a male child come out, tell the Hebrew midwives, kill it. Yep. But 400 years of that oppression took place. That has nothing to do with America. We've been in the captivity way longer than 400 years, sister, brother. But like it's saying here, talking about some sin being at its full, just like it was during the time of the Hamites, once again, right? He said in the latter time of their kingdom. Because we're in the latter part of the last days, sisters and brothers. He said when the transgressors are come to the full, what's going to happen?
A king of fierce countenance.
That's that little horn we was talking about. He said, once again, he called a king, He said a king of fierce countenance, and what else?
And understanding dark sentences.
What it mean understanding dark sentences? He gonna understand the Bible, sisters and brothers. He understand the word. That's why when the Lord come back, listen, he ain't gonna talk to him and say, well, you just wait around for some years. We gonna let you get up for judgment day. No, he going straight to the lake of fire. The beast and the false prophet gonna be there. It makes sense, why these popes have started to retire and quit. Like, dude, you do it. No, I ain't doing nothing. Pope Francis, when he first got into the city, he said, I'm going to do about 2 years and I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying? The other one, he just retired out of nowhere. You know, but listen, the Bible say you understand dark sentences, right? So he ain't gonna have no excuse. He said, understand dark sentences shall stand up, and what else?
And his power shall be mighty. But not by his own power.
Because he gonna get his power from Satan, sisters and brothers. But go ahead and read.
And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Keep reading.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
How you gonna destroy many?
And by peace shall destroy
many.
Right,
so he gonna come in with peace. Why you think they always talking about the peace process? We need a peace treaty and stuff like that. But and you gonna be the heretic. Come out saying something against homosexuality, we gotta kill you, man. That's not peaceful. You know, God loves everybody. No, he don't. Well, you know, bring him over here. Just gonna let him put his head on the platter. Off with his head. That's how they gonna be. You know, but listen, you're gonna have to stand up for God no matter what. Regardless of what they say, how is it that you're gonna be dealing with the word, trying to warn people? You're gonna be looked at as the enemy, sisters and brothers. Right. That's what he said. Though. He said, "By peace shall he destroy. By peace shall destroy many." What else he say, brother?
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes.
Well, now who is this prince of princes? Jesus. This is Jesus. That lets you know he's gonna be around at the end of the world. He said he's gonna stand up against the prince of princes. What else?
But he shall be broken without hand.
The Lord ain't gonna have to say nothing. As soon as he get it, all he gotta do is say it. He ain't gotta touch him. He gonna kill him. He gonna be broken without hand. Keep reading.
And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days.
Right, because it ain't gonna happen, Daniel, at your time. You know, he said, well, shut up the vision, because it's gonna be a long time. That's why he says, shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. But read verse 27.
And I, Daniel, fainted.
What Daniel say he did? He fainted. You probably faint too. I mean, Lord show you something like this, right? I mean, this coming from the heavens, man. Like Daniel, you know, Gabriel explaining this stuff. Then he saw a vision on top of that. You probably gonna faint too. He said, not Daniel, fainting. And what else?
And was sick certain days.
Yeah, I imagine so, man. He said I was sick certain days. Keep reading.
Afterwards I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood.
Right, but it's going to be at the end. He said, well, for many days, sisters and brothers, it's going to be thousands of years down the line. As a matter of fact, yeah, you got the vision, Daniel, but hey, it's going to be around for a long time, and at the end, guess what? It's going to come to life now. It's going to start speaking, sisters and brothers. But now let's go look at this 2300 days, because if you see here, you know, we got to start this daily sacrifice, sisters and brothers, right? So when we start now, if you look at Daniel chapter 8, bring it to, look at verse 12. Read 12 one more time.
And an host was giving him against the daily sacrifice.
Right, because the daily sacrifice is going to be going on, sisters and brothers, okay? So this is the first thing we got to understand. We got the red heifer. Like I said, for your homework, you go back and look up the red heifer. It's already, you know, they already got it. This may be the one, it may not be the one. You know, but they probably gonna get so desperate anyway, they gonna force it to be the one because they're ready to do it.
Right.
You know, because the thing got to come to the end, sisters and brothers. But he says, when the host was giving him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression and cast down the troops to the ground and practice and prosper, right? So, hey, these two saints are talking to one another. How long, at the end of verse 13, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice? That's the first thing on the table, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. What he saying in verse 14, brother?
And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Okay, so now, if you look at the screen, right? 2,300 days, right? That's going to start your sacrificing, correct? All right, so now we're going to actually get a time period as to how long this daily sacrifice is going to take place. All right, so we got 2,300 days. That's going to start your daily sacrifice. Okay, so now we got 1,010 days for the daily sacrifice to happen. And the reason why we got that, let's go look at Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. All right, so now, when they kill that first animal, right, that's going to start your 2,300 day countdown, okay? Y'all understand that, right? So if they start if they sacrifice that lamb tomorrow, that starts your count, right?
All right.
So you're gonna start counting down. So you got 2,300 days till Jesus get back to this earth. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So Daniel chapter 12. Let's pick this up in verse 11. Daniel 12 and verse 11. What that say?
And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away.
Okay. So he's saying from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. Go ahead and read.
And the abomination that maketh desolate set up.
Keep reading.
There shall be 1,290 days.
Okay, so listen, when they finish, when they come in there, they're going to stop the daily sacrifice, right? That's the first thing on the agenda. They got to stop the daily sacrifice, all right? When they first come in there, that's what's going to be on their agenda, right? So they say from the time that the daily sacrifice should be taken away and the abomination that make desolation set up, there should be 1,290 days, right? Mm-hmm. So what we got to do is, everybody got phones, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so now, go into your calculators.
Subtract 12 days.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go 2,300 minus 1,290, right? Mm-hmm. What does everybody have?
1,010.
1,010. It's on the back of your worksheet too, right? Yeah. Y'all see 1,010, right? Mm-hmm. So how long are they going to be sacrificing animals? 1,010 days. Mm-hmm. So if you take 1,010 days, you really don't need to do this, but we're just going to divide that by 365 days, because a year is 365 days, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to divide that by 365, so it's almost like 2 years and 8 months that they're going to be sacrificing animals, right? All right, so now let's go a little further. Let's see here. So we got 1,010 days of the sacrifice, right? Then we got, but he said it's going to be 1,290 left, right? We got 12, because he says in verse 11, from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, they're going to have to stop the daily sacrifice, and the abomination that make desolate set up, there should be 1,290 days, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so that means they're going to be sacrificing for 1,010 days, 1,290 days, right? Sacrifice should stop. So how many days you got left to get to the wilderness?
30 days.
You got 30 days left.
Yeah, 30 days.
You got 30 days left. All right? You only got a month. But the part about this, Tony, even though you only got a month left, you still got 2,300 days out here.
Yeah.
You understand? Like when they first sacrificed the animal, you know, this is what me and Brother Jediah used to talk about. We should say things like, well, when they sacrifice the first animal, what we'll do is, you know, we got like 2 years and some change before it's time, before the door is actually shut.
Right.
We don't have to wait till we get down to the last 30 days.
No.
Like we're not gonna run into the wilderness early, because you can only be in the wilderness for 12 and 60 days. But that don't mean we can't start trying to make our move over that way. Mm-hmm. Now think about it, because I know you might have been asking yourself, well, how is this gonna work out? How is it? Look at what the Lord is doing to these Africans, or these people over in Africa today. They talking about we gonna ease up the visas now, so y'all can come on back. But I'm just thinking to myself, but if you wondering how the Lord is gonna make this possible, notice what's starting to happen to these people over there. They starting to say things like, y'all can come on back. We're gonna start loosening up policies now, so y'all can get visas to come on back over here. I'm just saying to myself, man, hey, God is starting to put this thing together.
Right.
God is starting to put it all together. That's why you ain't got to worry. All you got to do is have faith, man.
Faith, there it is.
You understand? You got to have faith, and you got to watch and pray. Mm-hmm. What you watching for? You got to pay attention to these signs, sisters and brothers. But listen, by the time you get down to the last 30 days, hey, the armies are coming in now. And you got to make some moves. Right. In other words, this is the climax, because once these 30 days up, it's over with. You can't get to the wilderness. Mm-hmm. But what about the sick people? Like a brother up in, y'all know brother Will. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, 30 days trying to get this brother to the wilderness, that's going to be hard. Because he don't have any legs. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, we got other numbers in the Bible to consider. Before that even get to it, we can, I start figuring out widows, sick people. You know, we got to start figuring out some ways to kind of get this thing, so by the time it do jump out, like I said last week, we have a running start. We be sitting there, like they do with Double Dutch. How they jump in. No, we'll be ready to go. As soon as the Lord open up the wilderness, we in there. Because it's going to be hard trying to come, but the Lord will make a way, though. Don't get me wrong. But now let's go a little further. Let's see here. So we got the Great Tribulation. Once the 30 days up, then how long is the Great Tribulation?
3.5 years.
1,206 days, right? That's 3.5 years. So God got it all laid out for you, sisters and brothers. It's all laid out for you. It's in the Bible. It's just better for us sometimes we can actually see it. But after the, that's how long the Great Tribulation is, 3.5 years. And then boom, we at the end of it now. Sanctuary clean. The Lord is back, sisters and brothers. Well, that's when He gonna take down this man, right? Because at the end of the Great Tribulation, what He gonna do is He gonna take him down, then He gonna get involved. You see what I'm saying? Like the Lord is gonna start taking everybody down now, besides the saints or whatever. But He's gonna start taking the nation down. But that's when it's gonna end. As far as like the Pope doing his thing, it's over with.
Right.
All right. But now let's read. Let's see here. Read verse 13.
But go thou thy
No,
way.
read 12. I'm sorry. Read 12.
Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days.
So what we see here, this is more than likely, something that's going to extend past the 1290. That's an additional 45 days. But we can't really pinpoint what it is. We used to say, well, that's going to be 45 days of God's destruction. But first and foremost, we can't read that.
Right.
Second off, the Lord don't get involved with the affairs of men until after the Great Tribulation is over. That's when He gonna start opening up them 7 vials of wrath. You understand? After the Great Tribulation, one of the 5th vial is 5 months by itself. So those 45 days, it must be, like I say, in my head, the only thing I can imagine what those 45 days are is that the Lord is sealing off the saints, the 144,000 and the great multitude which no man can number. That's all I can see that's going on right there. But we can't prove that either.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what we got to be careful about, because I seen a brother doing it, and I reached out to him and I told him, I said, listen, man, for the sake of the people, you might want to go do that class over. And he told me, you need to watch your mouth and learn how to be respectful.
Wow.
I said, Lord. I said, dude, for the sake of the people, man, you need to go do that over, man. Got the king to watch your mouth and learn how to keep your mouth shut. Nah, bro, because you're on social media first off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to point it out, bro. Because just like I used to say the same thing, that's incorrect.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to be able to learn and grow is to admit that you're wrong.
Right.
So that 45 days, instead of us just saying, see, this is what God going to pour out. No, what we say is we don't know what that is. But what the Bible says is what? Blessed is he that wait and come to the 1,305 and 30 days. So if you make it to that 45 days past that 1,290, then you blessed. That's the point.
Right.
He didn't say how, though. What's going to happen during that time? We can't force anything to be there. But what he said in verse 13, brother?
But go thou thy way.
So he telling Daniel, he said, go thou thy way. Go ahead.
To the end be.
Mm-hmm.
For thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the day.
Right, so you're going to get up at the resurrection, man.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and rest. In other words, don't even worry about it. He said, you're going to die. You're going to rest. Then he said what? You're going to stand in your lot at the end of days. But listen, this is when it's going to happen, during our time. Before we go to the last place, any questions? Any questions about the class?
I do, guys. So that possibly means we might have to flee before they even start building the temple.
If they start sacrificing?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to flee. And the question was, for those online, the question was, that means we'll probably have to flee before they start building the temple, right?
Yeah.
And the answer is, not necessarily. Just if they start sacrificing, then, it would be more like, I like to imagine me, instead of me being so passive about it, I'm just going to start going off on everybody. Like everybody. I'm not in a bad way. Like, I'm going to start busting up in churches. You know what I'm saying? I'm going off on the preacher. They're going to take me to jail. You know what I'm saying? Wherever my parents go to church, I'm going in there. I'm going to confront the preacher. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to start making a light of the lies that's going on.
Right.
Because it's almost over with now. Like, what I got to lose?
You ain't lying.
You see what I'm saying? But but at the same time, I'm going to also be trying to talk with some of the brothers in the Word to try to figure out some things.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, because you got to, like I say, the sick. You know what I'm saying? The widow and stuff like that. The fatherless, not the poor. Like, we gotta figure out something, because once it get down these last 30 days, bro, I ain't helping nobody. I'm just letting you know. I ain't helping you. Don't call me. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, because you should have known, bro. Like we teaching the class, we giving you the keys right here.
Right.
God is giving us the answers. So we got some time to make some moves almost 2 years in advance. You understand? So I wouldn't say it'd be necessary for you to go ahead and run and get out of it. Because you get over there, they're going to be like, dude, you still got to live.
Yeah.
Because they ain't going to be thinking like we thinking, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the Lord going to put his spirit, he just like with Cyrus, when he told him he sent the commandment for him to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. He put the spirit on King Cyrus, you know what I'm saying? Then he put it on Artaxerxes, being Gentiles.
Yeah.
So hey, you going to do the same thing. They're going to open up Edom and Moab and Ammon for us. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, he gave us these numbers for a reason. Not just for it to be there, because we don't really teach that among Israel. We really don't hound on, the other numbers in the Bible. Excuse me. The 23. We really don't hound on that. We really don't teach that too much. But there's other numbers in the Bible for a reason. That's why we have to look at it. So you will have understanding. Okay, I ain't just gotta wait till the last 30 days. You know what I'm saying? No, you can start. When you see them sacrificing animals, man, hey, you just start kind of figuring out what you're going to do for you and your house. And like I say, the brothers, we start coming up with some ideas on how we can get the person that's kind of less fortunate than us as far as health-wise, money-wise probably, what we can do to try to, make it easier for everybody when it's all said and done. So any other questions? Y'all understood everything so far? Go ahead, Brother Joe.
Like you,
it's good to see you too, man.
Hey, it's good to see you. You seem different. You seem more electric. You seem more electric.
Oh, praise the Lord, man.
Yeah.
What get with you?
You spoke on about like how many people on Earth. Like there's like 7 billion people, and we are few in numbers in comparison. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when the countdown starts, like when they do the sacrifice or start doing the sacrifice and the countdown starts, like everybody ain't gonna be paying attention to it like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't think it's gonna be people like tripping over each other at the airport. I think you got a little bit of time, that, you know what I'm saying, to organize and stuff like that.
Yeah, they gonna think we crazy. You know what I'm saying? They think we crazy. Like y'all finna go out there, there's another Jim Jones incident. They gonna drink some cyanide, some poison. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's gonna be, But it ain't gonna be that many people. One thing I know, I was driving Uber and Lyft yesterday, man. I picked this dude up, this mother. I went to Rick Ross' house and picked him up. 21-year-old guy, man. His name was Shalom. And picked him up, man. We was talking. I told him I told him I was coming down here today, and he was asking for what reason. I told him we got a church down there, and I teach down in Jacksonville, Atlanta, whatever. So, I started explaining to him some things about the Bible. He's like, well, I'm a Muslim. And I kind of figured he was. He looked like it, you know what I'm saying, as far as like, how Muslims look. Not black, but I'm saying as far as like the Indians and stuff like that. So he's like a Muslim, but he coming out of Ross' house, man. I'm like, what you doing over here, 21 years old? So in my head, I'm just like, you know what they say in the industry, boy, because what you doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a kid, and you leaving on an Uber? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay.
All right. That's what y'all do in Hollywood, man. You know what I'm saying? So he said he said he's a Muslim, right? But as we was talking, man, we was talking about the end of the world, and he said, but I do believe that this world's about to end. He's like, I do believe. He's like, man, because he couldn't really tell me. Like, he let me know he's Muslim, so that let me know I don't really believe in the Bible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So later on, he was like, but I do believe that the world is about to end, man. He said, I can see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying to myself, like, that's that mechanism that God done put inside this man. Regardless of what you believe, regardless of what doctrine you follow, God got this mechanism inside this man, you know what I'm saying? Like he said in Ecclesiastes 12, hey, the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandments.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing all this stuff happening and going on in the world, you know something coming down, man. You just can't really pinpoint it. For us, he allowed us to be able to pinpoint it, you know what I'm saying? But even at that time, when they get down to us running and all that, and they sacrificing animals, some people, they're going to be like, hey, I'm finna grab hold of it. I'm going with y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? It may not be a lot, though. But some people, like even now today, some people are having it, starting to think in their mind what's going on. That's why so many people starting to wake up and question the Bible, question religion, question doctrine. because they know something is wrong.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of stuff is wrong, you know, so. But it ain't gonna be, it's not gonna be a lot. It's still gonna be few.
Another thing about the heifer, because I was reading up on it online as well. If as of right now it doesn't have a blemish,
Right.
but they say they're gonna wait a year to just to see what happens. Like,
Right.
Why not? If it's what what I'm saying, if it's for their agenda, why not do it now while they know it doesn't have a blemish?
Well, you gotta grow. It gotta get a little older.
Oh, it gotta be a heifer of 1 year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1 or 2 years, something like that. So it gotta grow first and foremost.
Okay.
And they also want to give it some time, you know what I'm saying, to see. But like I said, they may force it anyway, because the way the prophecy is unfolding, it's like Lord may put it on him. It can be a black and white cow. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? They ain't the real people anyway. They're thinking it's like, what's that? Like a Mayfield cow. You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming to the end, man. So, but we'll see though, man.
That's awesome.
Any other questions? Nothing? All right, well, let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. This is the last place. That's why I told you it ain't that long, man. It's not that long at all. It just, those first few scriptures, we just have to go slow through it, take our time, because you don't want to rush nothing like that. So I say that the brothers that trying to teach, come up with teaching the gospel, man, just take your time with the people, man. Ain't no sense in rushing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want everybody to learn, and that's what I had to learn. I used to preach, when I first started, I used to beat up people. I would preach lessons on people. You made me mad. Oh, you got a lesson coming this weekend. So I learned that's not what this is about, man. I hear some people probably want to ask me, can I teach him getting in a fight with his wife and want to ask me, can I teach Bible in plain view? What's the title, brother? Oh, anger. Nah, bro, you ain't teaching that. Nah, you can't do that, man. That ain't what Bible in plain view is about. You ain't gonna get up here and use this platform to tell your wife she need to shut up and be quiet. Nah, man. But I'm just saying, I used to be in that mind frame, but that ain't what it's about, man. It's about taking your time, making sure the people get it, man. Right. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, read verse 8 for me, brother. What it say?
Vanity of vanity, saith the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs.
That's right. So listen, when it's all said and done, the riches and houses and cars and stuff like that, it's all vanity. It's all gonna fade away, sisters and brothers. That's why I say vanity of vanity. It's Solomon talking, right? He said, vanity of vanity, saith the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. And that was the goal today, to make sure you can get some understanding, get some knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you can sleep better at night because you know some more about the Bible. Mainly the prophecies considering our time, sisters and brothers. More because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. What else?
Yeah, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs.
That's right. So I hope somebody got some understanding in Jesus' name.
Our prayer is that the eyes of your understanding were enlightened by today's lesson. DVDs and CDs of the lessons are available. Please place your order in the offering box along with your donations, and pick up your DVD and CD up at the podium next Sabbath. Please tune into Thy Kingdom Come television program, which airs in various locations. Also, join us for question and answer Bible study in about an hour from now, and every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via live stream and or teleconference at 860-970-0010, access code 343531-334#. If you feel you are ready to be baptized, please sign the baptismal list at the podium or speak with Brother Tony or Brother Anthony. On the first Sunday of every month, we broadcast the Bible in plain view. This broadcast gives brothers the opportunity to read and or teach a short 30-minute class. If you are interested in helping, please let us know. The following is the dress code for our services. All clothing should be modest in appearance. Nothing tight-fitting, overly baggy, sagging, or revealing should be worn. Men are to remove hats and all head covering and women should wear a head covering, such as a hat or a scarf, according to 1 Corinthians 11, verses 1 through 7. If your young child becomes noisy during the lesson, distracting other members, please remove him or her to the other room next door. Any tithes and or free will offering should be put in the offering envelope and placed in the offering box near the podium. Pray for our strength as we pray for you until next Sabbath. Peace.
Peace. All right, so once again, it's definitely been a blessing to come down and fellowship with y'all in Jacksonville. It looked like things are starting to pick up a little bit. We're going to go and close out, and then after we close out, I would like to talk with y'all for about 5 to 10 minutes. So we're just going to pray and close out. And then we're going to have Julius go ahead and do a couple Bible playing views today. And look at Bishop.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth,
thy will be done in earth,
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of
For
Israel.
he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel,
The Holy One of Israel,
King of kings,
King of kings,
and Lord of lords,
Lord of lords,
the one true God,
the one true God,
there is no other.
and there is no other.
Amen.
Amen.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord bless thee and keep
The
thee.
Lord make his face shine upon thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
And be gracious unto thee.
and be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
And give thee peace.
and give thee peace.
They shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
They shall put my name upon the children of
And
Israel,
I will bless them.
and I will bless them.
Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.